Studio.
Thank you, Percy.
This change from Mr. to Doctor, how did it happen?
Well, it's very interesting. You know, my background, I started as a pure technical student. I did mechanical engineering at Equatia Technical Institute. Went ahead and did my senior technician engineering courses. It took me to UST School of Mines, currently UMAT, where I did plant engineering. And then went ahead and did a postgraduate certificate in education at, they call it Kumasi campus of University of Education now. It used to be called KATTC, Kumasi Advanced Technical Teachers College. I taught briefly at St. Paul's Technical School in Kukrantumi for about 4 years plus. And then it was around that time that the late President J.J. Rawlings spotted me and appointed me as a DCE and for Fantiakwa. At the time that I was barely under 30 years old. And so I became a DCE for 3 years, or three and a half years. Getting into the election in 1996, I was prevailed upon based on what I can describe as my performance as a DCE, and coming from a very difficult Achim area where winning a seat is difficult. I was impressed upon to take up the parliamentary candidature against my own will, but I couldn't resist the pressure. So I contested and won and came to Parliament in January 1997. And so I was part of the second Parliament of the Fourth Republic. And when I came to Parliament, then later on during the course of appointments, ministers were appointed. When the deputy ministers were being appointed, I was appointed as a deputy minister for Eastern Region. And it was alongside the appointment like His Excellency John Dramani Mahama being appointed as Deputy Minister for Communication, Moses Asaga, Deputy Minister for Finance, Mike Hammer, Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways. All of us were appointed the same day. And so I was in Parliament. Fortunately, I managed to win my second term in Parliament. When the NDC lost power in 2000, I managed to win and came to Parliament for my second term. It was around that time the NDC has lost the election, and it was an extremely hostile environment for us, and we're tasting opposition for the first time, so it wasn't easy. And it was just during around that time the NDC has started reorganizing under a committee called the National Reorganization Committee under the Dr. Yaobeda Samoa. Together with Alajima Madrisu and the late Leo Kran, the late Amabenyuado, Alaji Hudu Yaya, and several others. I was made to be part of the reorganization team, which taught the whole country to collate views from our party rank and file as to how we lost the 2000 election. So that reorganization actually culminated into our National Congress at Trade Fair La in 2002. Around that time, once again, I was called upon to contest for the national chairman, organizer position. At the time that I was in Parliament, I thought it was going to be too much on me, so I attempted to resist it. This time around again, there was so much pressure, and so I had to acquiesce and contested. At that time, I contested with another very big name, Alhaji Collins Dauda. And then fortunately I won and became the national organizer of the party for 9 years, because it should have been 2 4-year terms. But in 2008, when we won the election and Professor Mills became president and we formed government, the thinking was that we should give the government time to settle. And so it was not prudent at that time to go rush into Congress to elect new officers. So we were made to stay on for another 1 year. So instead of organizing the Congress in 2009. It was organized in 2010 at Tamale. And it was at Tamale Congress that I decided enough is enough. I've been made a regional minister by then, and I had doubled up as a regional minister for Eastern Region and national organizer for 1 year. So I handed over the baton to my then deputy national organizer, Ofosu Jan. And perhaps because of the work that I did, when I asked that he should take over from me, he went unopposed. And in fact, it was the first time that a big position like national organizer of the party, somebody was contesting and going unopposed. And maybe it attested to the fact that there was a good chemistry between myself and him. And also we had worked very hard to, engender confidence in the party, such that they didn't have any problem at all for Yao taking over the torch from me. So basically, for political alliance, this is what I would say. Afterwards, as a regional minister for 2 years, again, His Excellency the late Prof. Samuels one day called me and said that he wants to bring me to the center, and so brought me to local government so that I can be closer to the party at the national level and be able to use my experience and expertise to help in the 2012 elections. And indeed, it worked very well because as a local government minister, I know the role that I played in getting new districts, 46 new districts, created. Some districts were elevated to municipal status. We introduced programs like the Less Debt, which actually brought economic empowerment to the people. The Zoil, which was a group that was cleaning the beaches, and several other initiatives that were brought on board, which for me went a long way in ensuring that we secured the victory in 2012. In fact, it was just around the same time that we also created the local government service and transferred over 30,000 workers from the civil service into the local government service, and really gave meaning to the effect of decentralization and making the assemblies the focal point around which the policy of decentralization revolves. Then fast forward, I wasn't reappointed as a local government minister, so I was home for some time, and it was during that time that I decided that whilst at home, why can't I utilize the period to build my capacity?
Yeah.
So I applied for a master's at GIMPA, and then I was taken on. Earlier on, I had done a master's degree in at the University of Birmingham, also public administration and development. But looking at the curriculum at University of Birmingham, I thought if I do another master's which emphasizes more on the local government system and public administration system in Ghana, it will enrich my knowledge and understanding, because I had already, as a politician, decided also to learn the civil service systems and structures and understand it very well. So I had already taken the postgraduate certificate in public administration at GIMPA. Also done the postgraduate diploma in public administration at GIMPA. So I thought it would be the icing on the cake to do the masters in public administration also at GIMPA. So when I was offered the admission, I decided that I was not doing anything, so let me go and do it. So I started in 2013, and then along the line, I was appointed the board chairman for GPHA in 2014, but I still managed to complete the course in 2015. It was during the course that some of the professors felt that, my contribution in class, the experiences that I have had and I share with them, and the fact that I myself was a student, but I was also organizing lectures for my colleagues and teaching them some of the subjects. In fact, those who benefited from my support for local government, for instance, everybody got an A.
Wow.
Because I was taking them on weekend classes at the local government institute, where I myself, I prepare food, I prepare refreshments, and I take them there, I teach them, and at the same time feed them.
Yeah.
And so it was very interesting that at the end of the day, virtually everybody got an A in So there is this professor who was I think the dean, who was always impressing on me. He says, look, Honorable, if you manage to get PhD attached to your name, it will be a game changer for you. And I think that you have the capacity to do it. Professor Weber then was also teaching there. And so he also encouraged me. And he felt that he's been my mentor all along. And when he was a local government minister, I was a DC, a very young DC. And having risen to become a local government minister, and then benefited immensely. And I must put it on record that I became very successful at the local government ministry, because even though I was a minister, I thought that I had a minister in Professor Kwame Nahoe. So I have to look up to him for direction and support. And then Mr. P.V. Obin, who was the chairman of the NDPC, and then I was also a member of the NDPC by virtue of my being a member of a minister for local government. I was also a member of the NDPC, and in our interaction, they felt that I had a lot of vision for local government. So he teamed up with Professor Hoy to support me. So within 2 years, we were able to achieve so much at the local government ministry. So Professor Hoy also said, well, he's aging. It will not be long. He might go on retirement. And so if I can also pursue the PhD, I can be a worthy replacement in future for him. I mean, in terms of the understanding the theory, practice, and the nuances as far as the local government and decentralization is concerned. So it's Professor Hoy who signed my form recommending me for the admission. And then fortunately, Professor Adams, who was the head of dean, also accepted me. And I was given admission 2016-2017 academic year.
In Ghana?
In Ghana. Ghana, Gimpa.
Yeah.
So that's where I started. So I know Gimpa's program, you have to do 3 years of classroom work and do 6 semesters to write exams 6 times. So I did 6 semesters. And then after the 6 semesters, you have to pass a comprehensive exams before you can be allowed to start writing your thesis. And before you pass the comprehensive exams, you have to do 2 seminar presentations and pass those seminar presentations before you'll be cleared to do your... So it's a long process.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, I went through, passed the 2 seminar presentations, went into the comprehensive exams. And it wasn't easy because by that time I was combining chairmanship. So I had gone through as a director of elections, vice chairman, and then during the course of the program, I became a chairman, and the responsibility became heavier. So I had to combine this chairmanship job of doing all the things that we do in addition to the studies. So I wrote my comprehensive, and that was a very tough one. You have to spend 6 hours writing 1 paper.
Wow.
And then 2 subjects combined for 1 paper, and you write 3. So it's like you write 3 exams, but 6. For instance, so then for 6, so let's say 18 hours. For every exam, you have to sit for 6 hours and write. And it wasn't easy. And that was during the COVID period. So sitting and then putting the nose mask and writing for 6 hours was such a very difficult situation. I did it. Unfortunately, I think I was referred in 1 paper. But I thought that in spite of all the heavy schedules, if I was only referred in 1 paper, let me just prepare and go and write it. So I managed to struggle to write the other paper, and then I went through. So after getting my comprehensive through, then my thesis topic was approved, and I started working on the thesis. And so that is how far it took me from 2016, 2017 to graduate in 2024, over 6 years. It's a long journey, long story, frustration. And then what have you? As a politician, my professor was telling me that all eyes will be on you. So I am not going to I'm going to be very hard on you, because at the end of the day, I want you to merit and earn the PhD. And so the day that I did my thesis, defense, in fact, I did it from far away US, where I was recuperating from a major back surgery that I had. And after the defense of the thesis, I mean, the course that I got, the comments that I got, and I mean, everybody felt that indeed I have performed well and I deserve to be given. So last week, grace shined on me and I was awarded. My professors tell me that the PhD is awarded. So if they decide not to, after all this, if the university decide not to award you, you have nothing to do. You can walk away free without anything. So I was awarded based on merit, based on the hard work that I have done. And I want to give glory to the Almighty God for taking me through this very, very challenging path of academic career and making me a PhD holder. I am humbled by what has happened, because my professor tells me, and I agree, that the more you learn, the more you get to know that you don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I believe that it's a learning curve, and I'll continue to learn and learn and learn until such a time that I'm able to impact positively on the younger generation, because that is all what I want to do. I had opportunity at early age, and I feel that if there is anything that I want to give back to society, I want to look at how I can help to build in the young politicians, you know, the kind of leadership skill set that we need to move this country forward, and also to emphasize more on ethics and morality. Because for me, I feel very sad what is happening in this country when I look at the leadership that we are having. I look at the greed, the avarice, the desire to grab things for ourselves, putting our personal interests above the national interests, and being very parochial in the things that we do. If we want to go this route, it will take a long time for Ghana to recover from the current situation that we have ourselves in. So we need to start building, army of young, energetic leaders who will place the interests of the nation above their own personal and parochial interests. And for me, that is the driving force now, looking into the future.
Sometimes I hear people refer to you as elder. What kind of elder? Yes, they always refer to you as elder. And where does the elder come from?
In actual fact, I was born into a Christian family, brought up under very strict Presbyterian German discipline. But along the line, I converted into Pentecostalism and was baptized by the Church of Pentecost around the 1980s, early 80s. I served the church for some time, and in the early 1990s, 1990, 1991, I was ordained an elder of the church, and so became a presiding elder of the church for about 7 years. At the time that I was DC transitioned to MP, I was still presiding as an elder of the church in the Bagro area. And so maybe that explains why the elder. And in my case, I don't know why there are so many elders. But as for me, anything that I do, they'll come and ask, "Hey, are you not Pentecost elder?" But I think that also put me in check to ensure that I live up to the expectation of people. So I'm an elder of the Church of Pentecost, and that is why.
What does an elder do?
Well, the elders of the church more or less act in the stead of the pastors, because you know our church is structured in such a way that you have a district pastor who will be in charge of about 16 assemblies, and he cannot be in all the assemblies at the same time. So the elders are elevated to perform certain functions for and on behalf of the pastors. For instance, the structure that you become a brother, and then after some time, when they assess your services, you are elevated to a deacon. From a deacon, the deacons normally will be those who will be serving the church, making sure that church arrangements are there, people are sitting at the right places, and arranging all those things. After that stewardship, then you are elevated to an elder status. The elder means that in the absence of the pastor, you can perform certain functions, and you can lead certain committees and manage some of the church activities. So that is how the structure of the church looks like. And then, if you are an elder, among the elders in an assembly, one is appointed the presiding elder, who will preside over the assembly. And so, not until the pastor says, I'm paying a visit to the assembly this Sunday, you, the elder, will preside over and report directly to the pastor.
You were more or less a priest.
Oh, well, it is just that you are not an ordained priest. And so, the elders cannot perform certain functions. For instance, the elders cannot bless marriages. The elders cannot perform a few other functions that are preserved for the church, because you need to be ordained and be certified that you can do this and this and this and this. So that is the difference between. And if you're an elder and you want to become a pastor, then you have to go to the Bible school and then obtain a certain level of proficiency and teachings before you will be taken on as a probationer overseer. In our church, it's a long process, and serve as a probationer overseer for some time, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, before you are then become an ordained pastor or a priest of the church. That is how the structure of the Church of Pentecost works. So I'm nowhere near a priest.
We're very close now.